We have fuel.
Hi guys, your friendly Captain Orbit here. How are you doing? I'm in the 747-8 Superjet simulator. Sorry about the mask. I have to wear the mask in the simulator and in the training center. Those are the requirements now in Hong Kong, and those are the rules. But I'm in the simulator to show you something today. We've just taken off from Hong Kong and we had a severe engine problem. We've shut down the engine, number 4, but we're too heavy to go back and land because we're above the maximum landing weight. So what we have to do is jettison the fuel, or dump the fuel, sometimes it's referred to. It's actually called jettisoning, fuel jettison. So I'm going to show you how that's done on the 747-8. I'll show you where we are. We're actually in a turn at the moment in Hong Kong area. There's Hong Kong. It just increased the range here, and you see where we are. There's Hong Kong. There, we're at flight number 150 because standard is set. Flight number 150. We're in a turn, just going outbound, out to sea, out there towards the open water, so that we can do the fuel jettison that's required. So, show you here. Engine 1, 2, 3 are still running. Number 4 is what we shut down, and you can see it here. It's shut down. The fuel control is to cut off. We had a problem with that. So now we have decided we have to reduce our weight before we can land back at Hong Kong, because at the moment, if you look at our weight, we have 378,000 kilograms and we've got 116.8 tons of fuel. That's too heavy. The maximum landing weight on the 747-8 is 346 tons, just over 346,000 kilograms. So what we're going to do, we've asked ATC are vectoring us around to the south so that we can do some fuel jettisoning, and we need to reduce that weight to at least maximum landing weight, which is 346,000 kilograms or less. Just depends on what we want to do, but at least maximum landing weight. So what I'm going to do now is the pilots are going to call up the checklist. So over here, I'll call the checklist, and then I'm going to select the non-normal. So I'm going to turn this wheel here, select the non-normals. There's the non-normal menu. I'm going to click that, and that will bring up the non-normal menu. Now what I'm looking for is fuel. So if you look, there's all the systems here, and I'm looking for the fuel. There's fuel. So I'll move that cursor. There's the cursor control. So I'll move that until I get to the fuel. See that? So I'm basically turning that knob there until that gets to the fuel, which is what I want there. There we go. Fuel. To activate that, I'll push that, and that brings up the fuel. Now what do I want? I want fuel jettison. It's just in there. So I'll select that. Okay, now I could either be fuel imbalance, no. Fuel imbalance 2 and 3, fuel imbalance, no. I'm looking for fuel jettison. Jet A, Jet B, that's a malfunction. Fuel jettison, fuel jettison. That's what we're looking for. So I'll select that by pushing the button, and that brings up the fuel jettison menu. So I read fuel jettison. Condition: fuel jettison is needed, which is us. Jettison to maximum landing weight is needed, yes or no. Now, if I do that, then it will just automatically jettison the fuel to maximum landing weight. Or I could, if we wanted to reduce the weight even further below the maximum landing weight, we could say, no, we want to be much lower than max landing weight. We want to be as light as possible because we want to be able to stop. If, for example, we were going into a runway that was very limiting, it was very heavy rain, or it was contaminated, we had to go back there. The next airport was too far away, and we wanted to reduce the weight even more than, much lower rather than max landing weight. So we could say no. So let's say we don't want to reduce the max landing weight, we want to reduce it even further. So I'll say, I'll turn this, which will turn that, and it will say, no, we don't want to reduce the max landing weight. Then it will say, next. So next, jettison to other than maximum landing weight is needed. Yes, that's us, because we want to be much lower than max landing weight. So I'll say yes to that. There you go. Fuel jettison selector. Select A or B. Now the fuel jettison, where we dump the fuel, as some people would call it, is up here. This is the overhead panel, and there is the fuel jettison panel. See that? That's the panel there for fuel jettisoning on the 747-8. If you notice there, it says maximum landing weight B or select, maximum landing weight A or select. So we want to select our own weight, so we'll go to select. That's there. We've selected A or B. I'll click that. Fuel to remain selector set. Now, if you look here, to remain, do we want 15 tons to remain? Had I said max landing weight, it would have given us a different figure there that would have dropped our weight from that to 346 tons. So I'm going to go and look up here and say no, I'm going to select my own. Let's say we want 25 tons to remain. So I will turn that rotates, and each time I turn it, it increases, or rather changes the fuel to remain. Can you see that? I'm turning it on the overhead panel. So we want to land with 25 tons of fuel. There's 25. Just drop it again. 25 tons. That's 25. So the fuel to remain, we've selected 25 tons. So we've got to go from 115.8 tons of fuel to 25 tons. It shows in magenta just to show the difference. Okay, so I've done that. So set, I'll click that. Fuel jettison nozzle valve switches on. The jettison nozzle valve switches are these, and they're guarded. So I lift that, and just before I lift it, I'll just show you the fuel synoptic. I'll select it on the left screen here. Fuel. So there's the fuel synoptic. I've put it on my ND. That's the fuel synoptic, and there's the checklist on the lower icons. Okay, so as you notice, when I've selected A or B, it brought up the fuel jettison on the synoptic. Ordinarily, that is not shown. Up here, I will now select the fuel jettison nozzle valves. There's one on each wingtip. So this is the left side, and that's the right side. And see what happens. You see that? Just changed. And the fuel nozzle valves are on. We are now jettisoning fuel from the left wingtip and the right wingtip. That's what's going on. And it says there, jettison nozzle on. And that's what's going on. Now, if we want to find out the time, the jettison time to remain, it tells us on the fuel synoptic at the top there, jettison time, 76 minutes, to go from 114.8 tons right now to 25 tons. You can see it is going down. There it is. So outside, there's fuel spray going out of the wingtips and exiting the aircraft, reducing the aircraft weight so we can land safely at a much lower weight, below max landing weight. So that's what's going on there. See that? It's going down as quickly as possible. And it's telling us the fuel is going down. So we can monitor it here, or we can monitor it there. Just depends on what we're using at the time. So it's dropping 75 minutes. So if air traffic control asked us how long we would require jettisoning, we'd tell them we need at least 74 minutes, maybe 73. It's going down pretty quick. There you go. So that's us dumping fuel, jettisoning fuel, whatever term you'd like to use. That's what's going on. And it's going from the tanks, which are over here, there, and there, and there. It's going into the jettison system and exiting the aircraft. Left wingtip, right wingtip. when we get to the fuel required that we want to jettison to, the system will tell us by this here will change from magenta to white, and it will flash as we approach 25 tons of fuel. So I'm going to do that on the instructor's panel just to expedite the process. Otherwise we'll be here for 70 minutes. Stand by. Okay, so now we've got fuel. It's coming down pretty quick. You see it's 27 tons now. 27 tons of fuel. And as we get, and it's telling us tank to engine, we're going to ignore that. So it's coming down to, we want 25 tons. As it approaches 25 tons, you'll notice that will change to white and flash, which is an alert to the crew that we're approaching the fuel we wanted to get down to. So I'll give it a 30 seconds or so, and we should be there. Approaching 25 tons. There it goes, flashing, indicating we've reached our target fuel to remain. It goes, flashes in white just before, and it tells us, okay, you've got there. And if you notice, the fuel jettison has stopped as well automatically because we got to the fuel that we require. Jettison time also goes to 0, meaning we've achieved our target. If we continue with the checklist, we're on page 3, we'll go to page 4, next one. Click that. It says when jettison is completed, fuel jettison nozzle valve switch is off. I'll go back up here. Remember the nozzle valve switches under the guard. I'll switch that off, and the right wing off. So the nozzle valve switches are off. That goes green. Fuel jettison selector off. Go back up here. There's the jettison selector. I'll select off. That's off. And that goes green. Resume normal fuel management. And we do that, we'd set up the fuel pumps and everything up on the overhead panel, set it all up for tank to engine to return to Hong Kong. And that would be fuel jettisoning. And we'd be back on the ground in Hong Kong at a much lighter weight, safe, having alerted the emergency services if needed, and so on. So that's fuel jettisoning later.